I'm gonna jump in and then we have the recording for when everybody else gets on. So many of you might know Dr. Paul as one of our leading scientists in the world, but we're so lucky to have him at Isagenix. And for those of you that have never seen him at an event or listened to him on a podcast, you are in an absolute treat tonight. He's the keynote speaker and peak performance expert. Dr. Paul Arciero is the best-selling author of the Protein Pacing Diet. I'm going to tell you guys something in a second about that. He's published more than 60 peer-reviewed research studies on performance nutrition and exercise training in the world's most respected science journals. His research is extensively funded by leading government agencies, philanthropic organizations, and nutrition companies. Dr. Arciero has trained hundreds of thousands of people with live audiences as large as 30,000 and has been invited to speak at more than 200 conferences around the world. Paul completed his fellowship in applied physiology at the Western University School of Medicine, and he also is a full member of the Isagenix Scientific Advisory Board. So, oh my gosh, you guys, what a treat to have him. But I'm going to tell you two fun things because I always like to just intro with a little bit more personal outside of the bio. If you guys did not attend Florida, the kind of associate run New Year's kickoff, you missed out, but I will say it was a treat. I'm a nutritionist as well. Many of you know that. To listen to Dr. Paul a little bit unscripted, like not in a corporate censored event, and just kind of real and raw and a little bit of sass. So it's really fun to have him on in the kind of smaller settings when you can just be real about what's out there and the gimmicks and why Isagenix is so special. But Dr. Paul, I actually wanted to tell you, my background, you would never know this, but I was in fitness for almost 15 years and then a nutritionist for, 2 decades, blah, blah, blah. But I teach at the Nutrition Therapy Institute here in Denver. And your book is now a part of the curriculum. So when I took it over, and it's the weight management sports nutrition class, and I was like, this is so outdated. And it's a part of the curriculum. I actually texted a few students tonight and said, hop on, because the guy's book that you read is our guest speaker. So I just appreciate all that you've done to the industry. And there's so many generations and so many different fields in health and wellness that learn from your brilliance. So welcome.
Wow, that was terrific. Thank you, Lauren. And thank you, Jessica and Shruti, for organizing this. And thank you all. This is such a treat. Yeah, as many of you know who hear me speak, I cherish these moments because it's an opportunity for all of us to help spread the word. I was in Australia last week. I can't believe it. I'm kind of like blowing my own mind that I'm traveling the way I am right now. But I wasn't there long enough. Those of you that have ever been to Australia, it's just a beautiful country, beautiful people. So I was there for their celebration because, of course, it's summer there now. So I was there with Sharon Walsh, the CEO of Isagenix. It was just the two of us repping for the U.S. out in Australia. But my walk-on song was it was "What Are You Waiting For" by King and Country. I don't know if anybody follows King and Country, but I do. And they have a song. It's called "What Are You Waiting For?" And they're Australian, so I thought it was appropriate that I would choose an Australian group while I'm speaking in Australia. But that it really resonated with me, particularly as it pertains to Isagenix, because Isagenix has been thriving for over 2 decades, and you have such an opportunity right now. I would consider it a real crossroads of the trajectory of where Isagenix can go. And it's like, what are you waiting for? You all have something that nobody else has. I can't emphasize it enough. I just feel as though all of us, all of you, because I don't get to share in the profit and the revenue that you all make. So I was a little bit meaning jealous, Lauren, as my kids would call it, Jay, that you all get these checks, every month. I'm like, damn, I want to get in on that. So yeah, what are you waiting for? I mean, it's such a golden opportunity. Here's why. You have scientific data that really is the essence, it's the foundation, it's the central focal point of any long sustaining business opportunity. I'll say that again. When you have scientific evidence, when you have evidence-based, scientifically proven, published in peer-reviewed journals, that's the central defining ingredient to success. It is. I mean, I know the money is great. The community is awesome. The anecdotal, personal stories that you all share are just incredible, but central to your long-term success in the space of health and wellness, I'm sorry if I, pop some of your bubbles. It's not so much the, the feel-good stories. Those are awesome. It's not so much the income and the revenue that you can share with each other, although that's totally awesome. And the community, second to none. All of those are really secondary to the science, because that holds the foundation, that holds the key, that holds the integrity, that holds the validity, that holds the proof. The proof of what you have is like what no one else has. And so I'm not going to keep emphasizing it, but I should. That what are you all waiting for? Build this around the integrity and the validity and the proof, the scientifically proven foundational core of Isagenix. It's the science. And, I'm fortunate that I'm the guy who's able to demonstrate it. And listen, it's only going to get better. I know you've heard that before too. The best is yet to come. I can say that with 100% certainty. The best is yet to come with Isagenix. If you're sitting there straddling thinking, there've been some lean years here, Dr. Paul, you're not in our shoes, you're not in our boots, you're not in our sandals, you're not in our foot's, print. It's been a little bit of a tough road. Well, guess what? The best is yet to come. I'm telling you that with 100% certainty. I have some scientific papers that are in peer-reviewed right now in the world-leading journals. And it's not to say that you don't already have that, because you do. You have some of my publications that have been in some of the best scientific journals in the world. I can tell you that there are some that are barking on the door of, totally leaving those other ones in the dust, as great as those have been. And so we're talking, top shelf, best of the best scientific journals. And I'm going to speak a little bit cocky and confidently that once they get published, there's not going to be another health and wellness company that can even, wipe the dirt off your shoes. They're that fantastic. It's unbelievable. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and start screaming this from the rooftops. Listen, this solution is needed. This is not something that you want to dance around or, say, hey, we have a pretty cool, compensation plan. We got a great community. We got these awesome, feel-good stories. No, you got kick-ass science and research to back all of this up that nobody else has. What are you waiting for? And so you don't want to dance around it. You want to go right for the kill and just be like, listen, we have something that nobody else has. We have the science that proves, so much of improvement in your health. You can't really talk about curing and, curing disease. Although the evidence speaks for itself in the terms of the improvements that people make. So I have to be a little, PC here. But I don't care, because I can talk about it freely. It's my science and it's proven. And so, yeah, the results speak for themselves. That's the beauty of it, that, it's all there. So, listen, I can talk a lot about the science, but just know that there's three main pillars. All right. So this is what I'm going to leave you with. As I tell my students, listen, if I can leave you all with one little nugget of scientific truth bomb at the end of class, listen, I've won the day. You've won the day. Not that I have, you've won the day. But I'm going to leave you with hopefully a couple more than just one truth bomb. So the three main areas, the three main pillars of optimizing your health and performance. You ready for this? You guys should be taking notes. I don't see anybody writing with anything right now.
I
No,
am.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure you do. I'm only kidding. I'm not calling you out. I had a great day today, by the way. It was down, oh my God. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was like 74. Literally, there wasn't even like a little whisper of a cloud in the sky. It was just like total blue sky down here in Naples, Florida. And I'm here for 2 more days, so I'm jonesing. So listen, the first pillar of optimal health and performance, number one, is body composition optimization. So it's optimizing body composition. Now, why that's so important and why that's the starting point is because, again, that's the foundation of our health. If you don't have an optimal body composition, and the hell with weight loss, everyone talks, oh, weight loss, that's bogus stuff. When it comes to your health, you can lose weight doing anything. So put that behind you. Yes, are you going to lose weight? Of course, you're going to lose massive amounts. but you're going to lose the right amount of weight, which is entirely different from the medicated weight loss that people are doing with Ozempic and Wegovy, right? When you lose that weight, you're losing 40% or more of your lean muscle mass. Hello, wake up. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's not even, yeah, it's just incredible. But if people decide to do that, which is, their prerogative, you want to at least be able to support them with the Isagenix nutrition. So body composition optimization. So it's about lean muscle mass. It's about lean body mass. I know we kind of refer to it only as lean muscle mass, and that's central to your metabolism and your health, but it's also your vital organs. It's your bone mineral density. It's your vital organs of your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas, your GI, that's your gastrointestinal tract. So your skin, right? I mean, I know we have great skin products. I mean, I take the 92 now. No, I'm just kidding. But I do the collagen elixir. It's great stuff. But ultimately, that's only as good as, and I know there's associates that build their business all only around the collagen elixir, which I think is a little bit funny because, listen, that's only going to work as well as what you also have coming into your body with your nutrition. If you're just taking the collagen elixir, you're just going to be like a facade of white, pasty, beautiful, pale looking skin. I mean, if that's important to you, great. But if you want, really nourishing, optimal skin, and then, deeper than the skin, then you need to do the nutritionals. You can't, just take collagen elixir. It's not going to do it. It's like putting a Band-Aid over a wound. So it's going to last for a little bit and help the problem. But ultimately, you've got to nourish from the inside. Listen to this one. You have to nourish your body from the inside out. Give me a thumbs up for that one. Yeah, no doubt, man. You have to nourish from the inside out and then let the collagen elixir, put the icing on the cake. Oh, I love that one. That was cool. So yeah, that's what has to happen with, body composition optimization. So you got to get that lean muscle mass, that lean body mass with all those vital organs. And the best way to do that is with the shakes, the Isoline Pro, the Tri-Release. Those that's going to provide you optimal body composition from the inside out. The shakes are going to do that for you. So you have to. The nutritional fasting, of course, is extremely important in cleaning out and vacuuming out all the old unwanted debris that's in the body. So that combination of the optimal nourishment with the Isoline Pro shakes and the Tri-Release, then with the nutritional fasting, I mean, that's the holy grail. That's the holy grail to body composition optimization. There's a couple more things I wanted to say about that, but those are the main things. And so, oh, I know what it is. So yes, with body composition optimization, yes, the lean body mass is central. That's priority number one. But very close behind that is the minimization of, or the optimization of your visceral fat and your subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous fat is the fat that's found underneath our skin, kind of generally distributed throughout our body. Our visceral fat, that's called subcutaneous fat, our visceral fat is found right here in our gut. And we don't want a lot of that. We need a little bit of it because sometimes, we need, not sometimes, we need protection around our vital organs. So you don't want to ever have no visceral fat. You just want to have the amount that is optimal for protecting your vital organs. And so that's also body composition optimization. You want to make sure that you are fine-tuning your visceral fat, getting rid of the excess, which most people have, and leaving just the amount that you need around those vital organs for protection. But the more you have, the more disease you have, right? That's where all the toxins and a lot of bad, harmful things are stored because toxins love that visceral fat. All right, so that's body composition optimization. It's solved, or yeah, it's solved by the Isoline Pro Tri-Release, so that those optimal amino acids that we have coming in from the shakes. That's priority number one. And then you can add things to them. I wouldn't go a day without the Ionics, so I put my Ionics in my morning shake without miss. That's crucial. Sometimes people like to add the greens and the fruits. Absolutely. You can add some of the immune booster, the heart booster, some of those others that you can add to the shakes. Those are perfectly fine. And then the nutritional fasting day or two that you do. You want to make that a priority because, you know, those two things working in tandem with each other is, again, the holy grail to body composition optimization. And then, you know, we move into that realm. So this is the second pier with our optimal health and performance optimization would be health span or longevity. So it's the mitigation of aging. And there's really 5 main diseases of aging. You've heard me talk about these, but these are really important. And again, Isagenix has evidence to show that you can make a massive, massive impact in a healthy way in mitigating, reducing, minimizing, blunting the likelihood of you or people that you work with succumbing to one of these diseases of aging. Number 1 would be diabetes. Number 1, without question. That's the greatest pandemic, epidemic we have in the world right now. Type 2 diabetes, metabolic dysfunction. Some people call it metabolic syndrome, but we refer to it in the science world as metabolic dysfunction. It's a dysfunction in your normal metabolism. And guess what regulates our metabolism? Yep, you got it. I heard you all saying it. Your lean body mass. Your lean body mass is priority number 1 at giving you the healthiest metabolism possible. And so when we fall prey to the diseases of aging, number 1 of which is diabetes, that's when we enter into metabolic dysfunction. And the primary reason for that is because we have a loss of our lean body mass. See the connection here? So when you begin to compromise that lean body mass, lots of bad things happen. And look at, you know, going back to the number 1, the body composition optimization, that's also really healthy for us to look good, right? You want to feel good. You know, you want to look, you want to walk around, you want to present yourself, you want to feel it. I mean, you know, looking is one thing, but feeling really cool and really fit, I mean, takes it to a whole nother level. Looking, you know, looks can be deceiving for both the person who has them and the people that are, you know, looking at that person. So, but when you feel healthy in your body, that changes everything. And that's body composition optimization. But it also extends into the diseases of aging. And so when we lose our metabolism health, our metabolic health, it's because our lean body mass is not where it should be. And our risk for diabetes goes up. Number 2 disease as part of the health span longevity would be heart disease, of course. Number 3 would be neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's disease. And then there's cancers and inflammatory conditions due to toxicity. And then number 5 would be what we call musculoskeletal conditions. Things like sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass. Things like osteoporosis, loss of bone mineral density. Things like normal weight obesity. We don't really talk about normal weight obesity. That would be people that walk around, they look like they're pretty, you know, normal. They look like they're pretty healthy, but they have excessive levels of body fat. That's happening more and more, by the way, particularly in certain cultures. Some of whom pay more attention to the exterior of looking, you know, really pale and healthy with their skin, if there is such a thing. And, you know, you have to be careful because those people don't pay attention and don't build their health from the inside out. They're building it from the outside in, which is not going to happen. It's a dead end. You can't build your health from the outside in. And so those are people that experience what's called normal weight obesity. They're of normal weight, but a larger proportion of their body is body fat. So don't be deceived again by looks. And then let's see, what other condition? Well, things like osteoarthritis, low back pain. So these are all things that contribute to disease and they reduce our health span. And for those of you that haven't heard me say this before, our lifespan is the number of years, days, months, weeks, seconds that we have in our life in terms of our chronological age, our lifespan. Well, right now in America, of all of the advanced countries in the world, we have the greatest disparity. We have the greatest disparity in our lifespan versus our health span. Our health span is the number of years that we live with vitality, with vigor. We have a 12-year gap. I mean, that's disgusting. The fact that we are living 12 years longer than our body really wants to. You guys got me at a good time. It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. I think some of you are on the West Coast, but I'm all fired up right now because this is major stuff. What are you waiting for? You got to get this stuff out to people. we are living 12 years longer than what our bodies really want to live. And when I say bodies, I mean collectively, our entire, person, our brain health, our emotional health, our physiological health. So we're doing a great job of extending the number of years that people are living, but we're doing a terrible job at extending the number of years that people live with vitality and vigor, about 12 years of a difference. That's just absolutely a shame, especially here in America. So is there work to be done? Is there stuff that you all can be doing and sharing with people to bridge that gap? 100%. You have the solution. You have the solution. All of the data, if you read my studies, and you don't need to because I'm telling it to you right now, all of the data that I've produced from these peer-reviewed scientific publications have demonstrated a massive improvement in health span. Massive. All of the markers of those diseases of aging that I just talked about, you have documented in the scientific papers to massively increase the health span, to get it closer. So right now, if you can see my hands, it's like this, it's 12 years. The data that I've shown with Isagenix and the products is closing that gap massively in terms of health span with lifespan. How cool is that? I mean, that's amazing. All right, number 3, and then I'll leave it open for some questions that you might want to ask. Number 3 is the fitness and performance. And that one excites me because, listen, Nike talks about we're all athletes, and they're right, but they're not giving you any tools, right? I mean, they're just kind of throwing, that buzz, that buzz term out there. But it is true. We all have the capacity to engage in life at a much higher level. And I don't really, place an objective or single standard on what that would look like for people. I mean, I like to compete at a very high level in the sports that I do, tennis predominantly. And so I like to, get out and compete and really push myself as hard as I was when I was younger. But that's not for everybody, and I don't expect it to be. I'm expecting everybody at their space in life and their goals of what they want to engage in, to be able to live that goal to the fullest. And that's fitness and performance, just being able to perform. And so that's taking your body composition optimization and your health span to the next level. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about taking your body composition optimization. We're talking about taking your health span, so your mitigation of the diseases of aging, and you're maximizing and optimizing your body composition, and then putting it to use. That's the first time I've ever framed it like that. You guys are getting a special treat tonight. So when you take your body composition optimization, when you take your health span and all of the ways that we've talked about with Isagenix, and again, those would be things, adding into the Isagenix routine, obviously the cleanse for life. We've talked about the Ionix before. I know we have the mixes. They're going to come to me. I have them on my slides. I didn't want to really show you slides because, when you get too heavy on slides, sometimes you lose people, but I'm just going to bounce to them because then I can reel them off to you as I'm going through them. All right, here they are. The bars are also, pretty good, to help with that. So yeah, the bars for the protein pacing I'm talking about, they're not as good as the shakes, and the plants are quite not as good as the whey-based. So just to kind of prioritize those things, the whey-based shakes, the undernatured whey protein is still, that's optimal. That's the highest level. The plant-based would be next. The Isopro and the Tri-Release would be after that. And then the bars would come in kind of in that next tier of things that you're doing. And if I showed you this slide, but some of the snacks that some of the Isagenix, the snack bites and the fiber, the snack bites and the fiber snacks, you can use those things to add into or add on to your shakes that you're consuming. If you needed to get some more calories, a little bit higher quantity of protein, because remember the isolene is only 24 grams. That's not a lot for just about anybody. So no one should just be taking in an isolene shake. That's just, based on science. It's not me passing an opinion. It's just based on science, which doesn't have an opinion. It is what it is. And so, unless you were only like 90 pounds, then you could do, the equivalent of of 4 isoline shakes, which I wouldn't expect you to do, but 24 grams, about 24, 25 grams, that would be, you know, acceptable if you were like 98 or 100 pounds. But in just about every case, you're going to need more than that 24 grams. So there's other things that you can add in. So I'm just giving you some of those other examples. And I talked about the greens. I talked about the boosters and the various different types of boosters. So those are all things that you can do. All right, let me see if I can advance this. And then the whey thins would be also. So the smart mix, that's what I was thinking of. So if you wanted to add the smart mix or the super mix or the triotic, you could add some of those things in. These are all just kind of support to the staples of the shakes. The shakes are the absolute staple. That's the foundation. And then these other things you would add on for that, you know, additional support and health benefit if you need it. All right. So you would never want to do these things in place of the shakes. Now on the nutritional fasting cleanse days, as you call them, you know, you could perhaps add some of these things, but you have to be careful because you don't want to kick yourself out of that, you know, nutritional ketosis state of where you're really benefiting from it. So I try to minimize the number of times people eat on those cleanse days to just 4 times, separated by 4 hours. And if you're not familiar with my protein pacing, that's what it is. It's, you know, eating a really high quality, nutritious protein pacing meal, either with the shakes and some other added protein, such as food sources or some Isopro or some tri-release or a bar, or some of these other, you know, whey thins or snack thins or things like that to boost up your protein, because you should be somewhere between that 25 and 50 grams at each of those feedings. It's not a lot. It's not high protein. It's optimal protein. So don't think of it that way. All right, so before I get too ahead of myself, so let's finish up with this fitness and performance. So what are some of the other things that you can add in above what we've talked about already to help support you? Well, those would be things like the hydrate, right? You want to make sure that you're getting in electrolytes. That's going to give you that added edge. Knox is a fabulous fitness and performance support. Again, this is after you've laid the foundation with the shakes and the bars, you know, if you need to get more protein, and, you know, the tri-release and the Isopro. That's those things are the foundation, with the isoline shakes coming in number 1. And then the additional things that you'd want to include, especially if you're wanting to get that enhanced engagement in living and life with vitality, with fitness and performance, that's when you want to add some of these other things. Hydrate, of course, would be one of them. E-shots for some people. Nitro is super helpful. And then the some of the other, you know, additional sport performance, I don't want to call it sport, fitness and performance products that you can include into your normal routine. Okay, so those are the 3 pillars, you guys. Those are what you want to focus on in terms of optimizing your ability to live life to your fullest. It all starts with body composition optimization. It then you know, turns to helping you minimize the diseases of aging and live with optimal longevity and health span. So you're reducing that gap between lifespan and health span, and then bringing it all the way to the point where you can actually really start to engage in life at a really, really high level. And so some of these additional products, I just wanted to bring them up. Yeah, so it's the Knox, it's the Nitro, it's the branch chain amino acids, it's the repair, and then I've already talked about the hydrate. And my favorite is the Knox. You know, if I need to get an edge on being able to engage in life at a more vigorous level with more vitality, feel like I can go out and compete with much younger people, Knox is my game changer. Knox is my game changer because it's a great blood flow vasodilator, so it opens up your blood vessels. It helps all aspects of your life, if you get what I'm saying here. So, you know, it's not just, it's performance. It's going to help you perform, women and men. And I know with menopause, many women are struggling with certain things, hot flashes. I know I'm married to a woman who's in the process of transitioning into menopause. And so, yeah, the Knox is an absolute game changer for sure, just to help with some of those changes. But at the foundation, it's the shakes. All right, so that's really what I wanted to talk about tonight, just to give you those three major pillars, and then see if you all had some specific questions. I'd love to entertain
Dr.
whatever
Paul,
you
I've
might
got a
have.
couple that I got from people. We'll see how far we go. And if you ever want to text it to me or type it in the chat and see if it's not a duplicate or whatnot. But first of all, I just want to say thank you so much. And I love the way that you did that. I know Dr. Plant's really been leaning into this, like simple, proven, natural. But I love the way that you have incorporated all the products into those kind of three areas, because I know a lot of people still really want to compartmentalize, like, oh, I have a beauty client, or, someone who's ordering the beauty products, or have a weight loss client, or have it in the way that you're looking at this as the whole picture, the whole body, no matter the age or the gender, and incorporating the boosters, the snack products, the weight loss products, the performance products. I just think that was so brilliantly done. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, I've got a few, and then Anne, I don't know if you're going to text me or put it in the chat. I saw your hand, but one of the things that still comes up for so many of us is for vegan eaters or people who are plant-based with the collagen, and just the objection around that. How would you educate someone who's plant-based to take the collagen?
Yeah, well, so unless they're vegan, that would be a tough sell, right? Because vegans are avoiding all animal-based. Plant-based, it's an easy sell, because with plant-based, you're not truly vegan. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pass judgment on people who have various different, I've been sort of there in my past too, but you just have to let people come to it on their own. But with the collagen, it's quite an easy sell for plant-based. Vegan, it's always going to be, because it's derived from marine life. So that would be that's animal. So yeah, that would be a tough one. I don't know, but some of the impurities. I mean, so even with a vegan, if I had to address that first with the collagen elixir, you are really just extracting out the component within the fish life and the marine life of the collagen itself. So while it is derived from marine life, it's really the amino acid components of the collagen and the collagen itself that are being extracted. But again, there's not much more I can try to do there to sell it
No,
to
I
a
know we
vegan.
come up with that one, and
But
it definitely, there's like religious reasons or for whatever reason why they're taking it, and that just
yeah.
the education of why they need that or why they can't
Oh,
get
why they
that
need
from
it?
like
Oh, for
plant-based
sure.
alone.
Yeah, so I think, in terms of the matrix of the skin, that collagen is essential. It's what makes up our hair and nails and skin and things like that. And so, yeah, I mean, if you want to have healthy skin, hair, and nails, the collagen is actually essential. So that would be a tough one not to incorporate if it was more based on just a health perspective. It's why you do it. Plant-based, I think it's easy sell. I mean, you don't have to, entirely be devoid of anything, and especially in this case with the collagen, because it is so healthy, and it is so well absorbed in terms of its what we call bioavailability. So that's short for biological availability. So whenever we eat something, it really comes down to how compatible the food is with our gastrointestinal tract in its ability to be absorbed into the body. That's what we're talking about. So when there's something that has a high bioavailability, it simply means that the nutrients are very compatible with being absorbed, digested, and metabolized inside the body. So that, if you ever hear that word before and you're like, what the hell is bioutilization or bioavailability, blah, blah, blah. It just means how compatible. How compatible is this food with being absorbed, digested, transported, and metabolized inside of our body? In the case of the collagen, it's highly compatible. It's highly absorbable, as are the amino acids from the shakes and all the other products. So that's an easy sell for people, that if you really want to have congruency and compatibility with nutrients, Isagenix has the best in terms of the bioavailability, how well the body absorbs these and utilizes them. And that's why they work so
Everyone feels it right
effectively.
away, right? They put it in their body and they're like, oh my gosh. Okay, I think I have 3 last questions for you. Someone above is asking about, obviously we're not treating or curing, but for osteoporosis or osteopenia, what's your recommendation on products? And I'm going to ask you both of these at the same time so they don't get lost in the chat. What's your tips for supporting someone through a cleanse day that's underweight?
Support someone that's underweight with the cleanse. Okay. So in terms of the osteoporosis, osteopenia, yeah, that's a real common issue with certain groups of people that avoid, for example, dairy, calcium, don't do a lot of load-bearing activity. And some people just have, in some cases, a genetic predisposition. But the more you can engage in an active, healthy lifestyle that incorporates some level of weight-bearing activity, walking is fantastic. Resistance exercise is number one. I mean, as good as walking is for us in terms of your bone health, there's not much that comes close to the best than resistance exercise, doing things that you're pushing or pulling against a resistance. That's going to be really healthy for the bone. But it's only as good as, sorry to get a little excited there, it's only as good as the nourishment that you're taking in. And so high quality protein, there was a big misconception that used to go around that, oh, high protein diets leach calcium from the bone. Just so, it's so untrue, it's laughable. I mean, it's laughable. Unless you're pouring in or have an IV of massive amounts of amino acids and protein, which is, again, unrealistic and never happened in the history of humans, that's not going to happen. And so, the amount of protein that you're going to be consuming with protein pacing is an optimal amount to help nourish the bones with what they need. So obviously vitamin D is going to be essential. Getting in calcium in certain of the products that Isagenix provides are going to be super important. Yeah, and so taking in the shakes, priority number one. Engaging in that healthy, active lifestyle with resistance exercise, number two. So those are your 2 greatest defenses against osteoporosis. The shakes, again, I would even encourage people that are susceptible to osteoporosis and osteopenia, which is the condition of the beginning of the bone mineral density loss, have a shake with some milk. Nothing better, but it has to be dairy milk. I would get a good grass-fed dairy milk. For those that are more plant-based, there's really not a good alternative. I mean, there are coconut and soy and almond and some of these other plant-based milks, but the bioavailability of that calcium that's found in those plant-based milks is not very good. So people say, oh, but what's the alternative? Well, there are dairy forms. A2 is a great example. There's a form of the lactose enzyme, and there's now forms of dairy that have very low lactose in it, but the bioavailability of the calcium within those milks is very, very high, and people that have lactose intolerance can consume those. So maybe you want to just start to experiment with that in very low amounts. But the best form of that calcium, because it's got vitamin D in it, is going to be something like a dairy grass-fed milk for sure.
Perfect. What about cleansing for someone who's
So
underweight?
the cleansing, yeah, for someone that's underweight, so they have to pay very close attention to their shake days. So people that are underweight but want to help, the body's own endogenous, meaning intrinsic detoxification system, which we have, things like autophagy and apoptosis. Autophagy is vacuuming inside the house. Apoptosis is the actual removal of cells that shouldn't be there. So it's what we call programmed cell death. So it's larger objects in your house. So it's like removing furniture that's just crap. That's the difference. So apoptosis is like removing furniture that you shouldn't have in your house anymore. The stuff is just bad. It smells, it's dirty, it's polluting the environment. Just take it out to the roadside. That's apoptosis. Vacuuming is kind of going around, and autophagy is vacuuming. So going around and helping clean out some of that other smaller debris. Both are super important. So for someone that's underweight, they want to make sure that on their protein pacing days, they are increasing their nourishment maybe to a slightly higher amount than normal if they're deciding to do a cleanse day. And I would keep the cleanse day to a minimum of 1 day. I wouldn't do more than a 1 day. I know 2 day has been proven with my studies to be highly, highly effective, more so than a 1 day. But for people that are slightly underweight, a 1 day is sufficient. Or they could even do more of what is called a time restricted nutritional fast. So they could decide to maybe do a 16 to 18 hour window over the course of 1 day. And then eat, a small amount within that 6 to 8 hour window. Very, very healthy. Do two, maybe 2 protein pacing shakes, because that would only be about 500 calories. So that would be one really effective strategy to do. So yeah, that would be what I would do. Just make sure that you're consuming a little bit more on the days leading up and the day after of protein pacing now, not just eating free will, but consuming that protein pacing and up your calories by a couple of hundred on the days before and the days after. And I think that would be super beneficial. And I wouldn't do them weekly.
So I was going to ask you a final question, but I have 2 more that came in. Do you have 5 more minutes or do you need to run?
Oh, listen, I could talk like this all night. I love you guys.
Okay, so someone in the chat was asking about what's your advice for someone who has kidney failure or kidney disease and is required to be on like a low protein diet?
Okay, I know this is quite controversial, and it's such a paradox. So the reason why most people have entered into kidney failure is because they had not been they have not been consuming. I shouldn't say this. In some cases, it's associated with them not having consumed healthy quality and quantity of protein. Because here's why. Your kidneys are no different than your muscles. What do we know is good for our muscles? Strengthening them, working out, providing them protein. Our kidneys filter protein. Our kidneys become very healthy when you increase the protein in your normal diet. The kidneys get weak, flabby, unhealthy, dysfunctional when we reduce the amount of protein coming in. So it's a real catch-22 because they've gotten their kidneys a little bit diseased, and now they're instructed by, again, physicians who are not nutritionally trained and know that those higher amino acids have to be filtered. It makes the kidneys work a little bit harder. That's all really good for the kidneys, I'm sorry to say. But here's what you want to do. You always want to consult with your medical team of experts and never go on a no or even a really very low protein intake. You want to stimulate the kidneys because having that additional protein coming through the kidneys makes them stronger. So the less protein you're consuming, the less workout and healthy the kidneys are going to become. And so if you avoid the kidney or eat a very low protein intake with the kidneys, with protein, it's a sure way to atrophy the kidneys and make them weaker. But again, a lot of this is dependent upon the degree of the kidney disease and kidney failure. And so you have to be real careful. I have to be very cautious in how I frame this because sometimes I have people run out and start yelling at their nephrologist or their health team and be like, "What the hell? You telling me not to eat protein and it's good for my kidneys?" It is, but it depends on the initial state of health of the kidneys. Sometimes you have to give the kidneys a little bit of downtime to recover and rest from the damage that's occurred. And over time, you want to slowly build it up and increase the amount of protein that high quality, got to be high quality. Can't be like a McDonald's burger or, a hot dog or something, or some other, shake from another company that is, crap. It has to be really high quality Isagenix level protein. And start to introduce that slowly so that you can start to work out. Like you wouldn't jump into a weight room and just start lifting, the full rack on the weights, and the same with your kidneys. You want to, introduce it slowly, but yes, you need to eventually begin to start to increase the protein to give the kidneys, build them back.
Oh my gosh, that was such a good analogy. If you guys did not love that about how you wouldn't jump into the full rack of the weight room, but how you can like get there, I think that's fantastic. So I'm waiting for my final question, but I have one more that came in about coaching someone who's diabetic on the system. And Any advice, and does Isagenix have any good tools out there to support someone who's coaching someone with diabetes?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, great question, Lauren. This has been an area of my research focus for, oh my gosh, I'm going to age myself, but 38 years when I was doing my postdoc. And by the way, some updates. I have over 70, peer-reviewed publications now, and my postdoc was at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis, which is really considered one of the top-tiered medical schools in the world. That's when I began my work. This was back in 1990. I began my work with diabetics. And so I don't know if you're referring to type 1 or type 2, but most people who have diabetes are type 2. And that even includes young boys and girls, right? We used to think, what? That's adult onset diabetes. No, it's not. It's called type 2 because young boys and girls are getting it now. So type 1 is a very small percentage of the overall diabetics. So I'll speak to the type 2. If it is type 1, I can maybe address that offline for those that are interested in a type 1. But for type 2, which would include young boys and girls who have not been properly educated and nourished, and are leading a very unhealthy lifestyle. Unfortunately, it's very sad, and all the way through adults. Absolutely. I mean, there's absolutely no better nourishment. I'm going to say this unabashedly. I'm going to say this unequivocally. I'm going to say this with a great deal of conviction. If you're working with people that have diabetes, there is no better. Listen, I will say it again. There is no better nutritional solution than the Isagenix solution, following the protein pacing from my research. There is nothing better. So if you're waiting for me to maybe dance around this and be like, oh, geez, I don't know if I should say it. Hell no, I'm coming right out. If you got people that have type 2 diabetes, man, there ain't nothing better than this nutrition system. Nothing. No, there is nothing. There's no alternative. This is the best. It's not Wegovy. It's not Ozempic. It's not the diabetes prevention program. It's not the Heart Healthy Mediterranean. I mean, I can go on to a list of 1,000 other, options of nutritional diet. You're getting me emotional now because this madness. What are you waiting for? What are you guys waiting for? If you've got diabetics, there is nothing better than this nutritional system.
Okay, you guys get that? I feel like none of us are going to sleep tonight. Okay, so here's my final question based on how you opened up, which I love. And you guys, I'm going to let Dr. Paul go after this. It's, almost his bedtime. Maybe not because he's fired up, but on the East Coast, I'm respective of the time. But I do want to keep you guys for just a couple minutes. So when he hangs up, stay on because I'm reversing our recognition and announcement since we had him on right away tonight. But if you were in our shoes, one of the things I love so much about you and Dr. Plant is you teach in a way that's so relatable. I think sometimes people of your level of brilliance, it's hard to follow. Like you make it that everybody can understand it, but you also come with just strong business acumen. The level of involvement that you have with the company, the way that you understand the industry, that if you were in our shoes, if you were going to go out and prospect, if you were going to go reach out to people, what would you be saying and who would be your target specifically? Like where I know we could go from as young as little kids and as old as, our grandmas in nursing homes and things like that. But where do you think the sweet spot is of people of Isagenix that can afford it, that see this whole, triad approach that you just explained to us? And what would you be saying to them?
Well, I would first start by saying that the vast majority of the population, if not all, nearly everyone, needs a healthier solution to what we currently have. And so I think meeting them in those three primary areas that I described, just about everybody, I don't know, who you are that doesn't want to improve their body composition. They don't want to gain a little bit more lean muscle mass. They don't want to lose a little bit more visceral fat. I mean, it's a very small percentage of the population, maybe 1 to 3%, that doesn't need that. So to me, the greatest entry point, the lowest hanging fruit, the lowest barrier of entry is this body composition optimization. There's just no doubt about it. It's 97% or more of the population, whether it's a young person or an older person. Body composition optimization is the sweet spot of where you can come in and connect with somebody who needs this. And by the way, you have the best solution for that. And then it would be people that have a targeted disease state of aging, right? One of these health span and longevity counterpunchers that so many people are afflicted with, just as we just described: diabetes, heart disease, neurodegenerative disease, a toxin inflammatory cancer condition, a musculoskeletal condition. So you're casting a net pretty wide on those people too. That's about 80% of the population. So you pick your your sweet spot. I'm trying to make it easy for all of you, that you either go at 97% of the population that want a body composition optimized, or you go at 80% that need to have a disease of aging remedied. I mean, that's a pretty easy entry point. And then you take to the people that want that fitness and performance. They want to be more engaged with life. And that's a growing number of people too. And eventually they're all going to get there, right? Even the first two categories that I described. So that's how I would approach this. And you always do it from a foundation of just absolute rock solid information and content, right? Content is queen and king. And so you come at them with the peer-reviewed, evidence-based science that Isagenix has that no one else does. You can't argue it. It is what it is. And so for all of you on this call, you have these two entry points of body composition optimization to capture 97% or more of the population, or the diseases of aging mitigation, the longevity health span, which is about 80% of people that need that. Or you target that they're like, I don't need any of that. I'm fit, healthy. I just want to have an edge of, fitness and performance. Well, that's an easy one. You got some products there and some science, as the studies that I've published. I've published, those 3 Isagenix performance studies that speak for themselves. The data is amazing. In fact, I just gave an interview for NBC News. I was over in Australia last week, and NBC News. If you haven't looked it up, look up Paul Arciero on NBC News. You'll see the paper, and it's Isagenix. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I probably made it a little bit too easy, and I don't mean to. Don't feel like I'm coming across nonchalant. I'm not, because I adore all the work that you all are doing, because it's frontline. It's grassroots, and I'm going to be here to support you until the ends of the earth. And so, no, I believe in what all of you are doing, and I'm just kind of adding a little, flavor to it. But you have what is needed for the entire population, or nearly the entire population. And I can give you my word that I'll be here to support you every step of the way. And so that I hope is a huge confidence booster. Yeah, I mean, what are you waiting for? You have what is needed, and you have the solution, and I'm here to support you, Lauren, and the rest of you.
Thank you so much. You guys stay on for just a second. Please put some love in the chat for Dr. Paul. We're so grateful. It was just absolutely brilliant. We learned so much. You have us all so fired up. You guys don't hang up, but give some love to Dr. Paul, and thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Hey, same to all of you. Keep up the great work. I'm always here to support you. Love
Thank
you
you so much. You're the best.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, in less than 4 minutes, I'm just going to wrap up the call. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to give you the work it task. And oh, excuse me, I almost made it through a call without yawning. I almost made it. The work it task that I want you guys to do is I want you to, some people who you recently enrolled, like in the last 30 to 60 days, I want you to message them a minimum of 3, check in with someone, grab an accountability partner, and just say, hey, I'm going to message you tonight, after I do my tasks, or just say, hey, I did it. But I want you to message them about the 30% promo, the 30% PIB, and just say, hey, I know you've been using the products the last couple of weeks. I know you have been enjoying the product. I just want to let you know Isagenix is giving you a 30% cashback bonus for sharing this with friends and family. Who do you know that wants the same results as you? Who do you know that can't wait to have a delicious frothy shake in the morning? Who do you know that wants to have this, liquid gold collagen? Who do you know that needs the adaptogens? Like whatever it is that they're ordering, I want you to reach out to a minimum of 3 people, okay? Then I also want you to go back to some of your past customers, and whether you do a text message service, you want to voice memo people through Facebook, however you communicate, let people know about the collagen, and just say, for a limited time, our hot chocolate collagen is back. I don't want you to miss out. Plus, we have waiting room ordering, like online waiting room ordering situation set up. I can't get the words out of how I want to say that. How can we say that? That we have a, you know, a waiting room ordering system set up for the ease of checking out, that you're not going to sit there forever and ever. Like I know people were so PO'd the last time with mocha and cookies and cream and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I took my lunch break and I sat here for an hour to watch it spin, that they finally have their ducks in the row. I mean, I think we broke the Isagenix internet for 4 years or 5 years with cookies and cream, and they like finally have it together. That I want you guys to let customers know that. I just be like, hey, it's not gonna, you know, sell out right away. Everybody's gonna have access to it, but I do want you to order tomorrow. Because after that, we don't know how quickly it will sell out, but we want them to be able to do it. Okay. So everybody commit, put a 1 in the chat if you're willing to message 3 of your recent enrollments about the 30% promotion. And then also, if you are willing to go back to some past customers or people who maybe missed out or whatever, and just say you do not want to, you know, not have your opportunity with this collagen, hot chocolate, blah, blah, blah. However you want to phrase it, that we've got a couple more months of, you know, winter, you know, winter days at least, that it's just toasty and can nourish your body from the inside out. I will tell you guys, I am so fired up for 2 reasons. One of them right now, Dr. Paul has me lit. I like Dr. Plant. I mean, he is incredible and we have some brilliance, but what he is saying right now, I'm like, what are we waiting for? And like, we have what nobody else has. I truly believe that. Like when I look at other lines, and I have thought this for 10 and a half years, and when I look at my last 1.5 to 2 years specifically and how Isagenix has fueled me, the health of my baby, the pregnancy, the delivery, the postpartum. And I mean, I think about this so beyond the weight loss side or the performance side, and what he's talking about, the body optimization. It is incredible. And when we look around, we have these insane before and after pictures. We have the most powerful, powerful stories. This is because of the science behind the products, everything they're saying. This is what continues to make Isagenix stand out from everything else that's there, that I cannot encourage you guys enough to be so bold about what you have, what it has done for you, and who else we can invite to take a look at this. Because there's a reason why our auto ships are so high month after month after month after month, because the more we're using, the more we benefit and the more we love it. But we need other people to experience this and be able to put that gap of the lifespan and the health span, like Dr. Paul said, with this amazing nutrition. Okay. Now, equally important that I want to share with you why I'm so fired up. And I'm telling you, I'm going to prospect like a beast tonight and go even more less sleep than I'm getting these days. Many of you know Shruti Orari. If you guys know Shruti, put a 1 or 2 in the chat. Okay. Let me know that you know Shruti. And if you don't, she's been with Isagenix for about 14 years. You know, she supports many, many leaders, including Holly and Erica and me and Jessica, you know, on these teams specifically. But she's become a very good friend of mine as well, right? I've worked closely with her for over 6 years. We talk about everything and anything underneath the sun all day long. And I have been moving. If you are familiar, when you're paid as executive, you get the customer referral orders. So like the leads that basically when someone goes to the Isagenix retail site, you get their contact information because they want them to be supported. And then obviously you have the opportunity to develop them. Well, and especially since ELB has gone away, there's not as many people paid as executive, that those that are being paid as executive are getting more of them. Hence, get back to executive. That's a side little punch for you. But I'm getting a lot of these leads. And when I call in to corporate and ask for a placement change, so I want to be the enrolling sponsor, but I'm asking to move them on the inside of my leg, right? Which I know why I'm doing this, but instead of building wide left or wide right, I'm always like, I want this person to be, you know, like I'm the sponsor, but this placement change, their bottom right, which because of it being on an inside leg, it doesn't just happen. Like when you request a placement change, it has to go to compliance and then they email me back or they call me and like want to verify that I'm doing this, yada, yada, yada. So Shruti has been helping me with this. I'm giving you a very long story to the punchline, I promise you. So ultimately she was like, what is the deal here? Like, why are all these people like on this inside leg? Because it's kind of like a lot of like hoops and hurdles that we have to be going over right now. And I said, I'm building my mom's, yeah, I could cry right now. She's like, I said, I'm building my mom's inside leg. And she was like, oh my gosh. And my mom, who many of you guys know, was my very, very, very first sponsor. So back in 2013, after Janny, you know, got me going, it was like find 2 people. My mom was my very first person. She has never not been paid as consultant, and she has never ordered less than like 600 PV between her and my stepdad's account in over 10 years. I mean, she's one of my highest paid, you know, ordered basket orders, but has supported me since the very, 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 very beginning. She sits on hundreds of thousands of BV, right? The amount of BV that goes through in her leg every single week and what's banked because she's been sitting there forever. But her focus leg, Just put a couple people over there, right here or there, shared a few people, nothing substantial. And a few months ago, I made the decision to build exclusively over there for two reasons. Number one is it's a trade that we have right now for childcare, right? She would do it. She doesn't want me to pay her, but I am so grateful and thankful that my little one is not in daycare and I have 2 or 3 days a week that she comes up here and he's in good hands with Nana and I can do the things that I love. And she recently retired, but I want her to be able to have that. And she would never take $500 or $1,000 a week from me. She would never do it, even though that's what I would be paying somebody. So I'm building her Isagenix business. The other, many of you don't not know this yet, but my stepdad, ironically, was diagnosed with Parkinson's. That's what my biological dad died of. And so here my mom is in this battle. My sister and I are in very familiar territory, and she has limited income through Social Security and her retirement from Walgreens, where she was a beauty consultant for so long. And so I got really committed to building over there. So I'm back to now telling you this long story of where I'm moving these orders because I get like a customer referral order and I have to put them on this inside leg, and this conversation with Shruti and one fired up. Hopefully you guys have followed me through this, but I wish that I could save this voice message in Facebook Messenger to be able to play. And Shruti just said, Lauren, like, listen to what you're doing right now. She's like, did you ever imagine 10 and a half years ago on your 30-day reset, when you wanted to like make a little extra money and stop teaching so many fitness classes, that your Isagenix business would now be a residual income that is paying for your son's daycare for all intents and purposes, that is your mom's like retirement fund, and that you're home? Like, did you ever imagine? And I was in full on tears. Like, I couldn't even message her back the level of gratitude, the level of appreciation that this company has paid me every single week. The friends that I've had, the places I've traveled, yes, all of it, but that nothing else out there could have created this. And when I tell you, like, I almost have guilt that I'm not sharing it with enough people. Like, I literally like wake up in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning, like so hungry to talk to more people, because it's overwhelming how fortunate I feel. Like, how thankful that Jen and Kathy came out of retirement to create this company. So thankful that we have the best leaders. So thankful and this amazing corporate team. And when Dr. Paul is like, what are you waiting for? This is the reality, you guys. Leaders are not working. There's a lot of people that are making a lot of money because they've been enrolled for a very long time that should be back working. And if they're fortunate to be in that spot, then it's us. We're on these calls because we're hungry for the opportunity. We are thankful, whether you cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, 200, 250 times a week. This company is amazing. The opportunity is amazing, right? And to think that we have products that we don't have to explain. The science has done it, right? They are not for question. We have that with complete certainty and validity. This compensation plan pays people. It has always paid us. That, okay, a few years ago, we said we have supply chain issues, right? A few years ago, we said, okay, there's warehouse issues. Okay, we had the pandemic issues, like blah, 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 blah. It's 2024. There are no supply issues. There are no warehouse issues. There's like, get out of our way and let's just freaking go. I'm tired of my inbox being blown up by the hype show. If you guys checked my inbox, I'm sure it happens to some of you out there, with people sending me flashy paychecks and they're like, oh my gosh, come over here. This girl tried to sell me some zippy lemonade the other day, telling me she knows her compensation plan is not sustainable. She goes, just come over here and make all the bonuses and we'll go somewhere else when this doesn't last. That was her message to me. And I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding me? First of all, that's not the type of person I want in my team. But I just thought, if that girl is recruiting people and people are jumping into that, they're getting lost by the smoke show. Like, we need to step up and do it so much more powerful, with so much more grace, so much more integrity, because this is a home. This is a home for network marketers. It's a home for people that want to have the best health and longevity in their body. It's a home for friendship. It's a home for faith. It's a home for financial opportunity. But I have thought about that every single day since Trudy messaged that to me. And I played it to myself. And she just said, did you ever think? And it was like years ago, you guys, when you heard me train in Nashville, I never thought I would be one of my dad's caregivers and be able to not worry about money in the process because of residual income. That was the first time this company blessed me over and over and over and over. And the fact now that I'm home with this little guy and I'm able to build my mom's business while she plays with him, and she doesn't have to worry about retirement and long-term income with things that are happening with my stepdad, I dare you to bring me one other business model, one other opportunity that checks off all those boxes. And I'm sharing what we are so thankful for, because I want every single one of you to be able to do this and do it for your family. It's a legacy business. What you do can be willed away. That don't sleep on this. Like, I love that that was his song. Don't sleep on it. Don't be quiet about it. Don't be bashful about it. If people say no to you now, if they think it's an MLM, if whatever it is, okay, next. It's not for them right now. You cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person, but the people are out there who are praying for this, who are looking for this. And the final little thing I just want to tell you, I asked Dr. Paul, who's your target, with the products? And if you're leading with the products, he did a great job of the body optimization and the different aging mitigation health issues of who to approach. Trudy and I were brainstorming. We're trying to do an event. You guys, this is going to be in the works. And when it comes down, it's going to be so good with just some things that are different than what corporate is up to right now. But in this brainstorm of what would really, really set us apart, I just lost my train of thought for a second. It'll come back to me. Oh boy, I got so excited. I forgot what I was saying. Bring me back in. I was talking about the opportunity. I was talking about, who the target market is, right? I told you it would come back to me. I used to think it was young people. Like there was a period of time we talked about START, right? That it was like 20s to 30s and they wanted to have fulfillment and they wanted to travel and they wanted to make an impact and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, they don't always have the best work ethic, right? Like they haven't really experienced a lot of other things to know if it's there. They don't have the money to get started. That might not be it, right? And when I think about like, could I go recruit me 10 years ago? Like, what was it that made me so hungry for this, right? And it was like, I had worked enough to know I wanted to work for myself. I had worked enough to have a skill set. I had worked enough to know that I had a ceiling over my head, that the things that I was unfulfilling for. And what we have really deemed to be the target market is probably people in their 40s. Late 30s to early 50s. Of course, there's people that will come in younger than that or after that, but it's people who say, I have to work for another decade. I have to work for another 2 decades, but they're burnt out from what they're doing. They're not paid their worth. And they have what we call like tech fear, right? That people now are like, if I switch jobs, like they may not have been trained on Excel sheets or AI or social media or whatever it is, that they can look at this and say, I can consume a product that's going to knock my socks off. I can tell people that I love this emotional response, and I can plug into a team of support that I don't have to do everything by myself, where the marketing is done, the customer service is done, the supply chain is done, and everything that the company does for us. And so I want to leave you guys, please go do your work at task, but that's the easiest. Like if you go to bed tonight and you say, okay, I messaged 3 people about collagen and I messaged 3 people about 30% because Lauren told me to. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. But I encourage you to like step up, like put on your, big girl, big boy pants right now, 10x your effort, 10x your energy, reach out to a chicken list person, reach out to someone that you care about so deeply and just say, I just got off a call with one of the top doctors in the world saying there's no other system like Isagenix, that it's the best products. I care about you so much. I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't share this with you. Do you have 5 minutes that I can walk you through proven results and how this can help you? I want you to literally 10x all of your effort, all of your energy tonight and reach out to someone and just say, hey, I heard this girl's story tonight. It may or may not be anything you relate to, but as she started this accidental side hustle when she was buried in debt, and now her residual income, she's been full-time with this company for a decade. It's her mom's retirement plan. It's taking care of her little, IVF baby. And I just feel like there's so many people out there that are looking for this. I had to reach out to you. It may or may not be for you, but this company is changing lives and I wanted to change yours. If you guys can message some people like that tonight with some voice, with some authenticity, with some passion, leave tonight with the funniest little emoji in the chat. I'm going to close the call and let's just play so big. Think about Dr. Paul. What are we waiting for? You guys are awesome. Have a wonderful night. Sleep well. Bye-bye.